Welcome to the Pew, an all new the J.J. Bryan Prince of Hell edition, coming to you live from Gainesville, Florida. J.J.
Hi, Michael.
So J.J. has replaced Ernie for this and maybe another couple episodes. Ernie's in Mexico, and I'm in Florida shooting a film with J.J.
My childhood
And we
home.
just came from the set of, what's it called?
We're actually on the set, aren't we?
Oh yeah, we are.
One
We
set
are on the set.
of two sets.
We're on the set.
But
we
of
can't
Elegant
just keep filming.
Updates.
I was going to take one all dramatic, like.
Authentic brand.
So yes, Elegant Updates is the name of the. It's an art film, I suppose you could say.
I suppose it's an art film, yes,
And that's
because...
about as much as we can say about that, because.
Right, well, we could dive into that and actually spend the entire episode ranting about it. I wouldn't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what is not an art film then? It's easier to say what is not an art or what is not art than what is.
Point. Every film you make almost is an art film.
Especially, well, no, anyone. What film could not be said to be an art film?
That's what I just said.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good job. Amethyst is my favorite thing.
Oh, we're like the Merv Griffin, Andy and Edie interview where Andy we watched recently. This,
it's the Michael and JJ edition.
Yeah, but we just watched the Merv Griffin episode, old from the '60s, of Andy Warhol and Edie Sedgwick, where I guess it was a gimmick. They thought it was a cute gimmick where Andy refused to talk, and so he goes on a talk show and refuses to talk, and so he answers all of his questions through Edie.
I don't think it's a gimmick at all. I think it was his preference.
Actually better than I thought it would. In the beginning, it didn't look like it was going to turn out so well. The audience didn't look like they were on his side. But by the end of the show, I think Edie did a really good job, and the audience and everybody seemed to be on their side.
I mean, I think that Andy really was shy and didn't really like to be the center of attention.
Well, then why go on a talk show? I mean,
Right, well, he wanted the exposure and he likes to be celebrated, but he wanted Edie to be the one who spoke for him. Isn't that the most flattering scenario of all for him? He felt ugly.
Yeah. Which is
not true.
I was gonna say it's kind of weird because I can certainly understand
the albino part.
Well, I can understand a person feeling ugly and not being ugly. I felt ugly all my life. But in his case, he had the skin problem.
Yeah,
and
the autism
he surrounded
thing.
himself with young, beautiful people, and so compared to them, he probably felt a little bit of a complex.
He was the most magical looking one, aside from Nico. He was very magical looking. I'll say that like that at all times.
Eddie?
Yeah, magical and beautiful to me, but especially in the '60s. Yeah,
he did get. You have to remember that he was not actually all that old when he died. He died in 1987. I think he was like 50 something. 50.
Right, because he wasn't old by the time he was old. He had brown hair at the time. Right. He was wearing a white wig and decided to go to the advanced stages of life early. Which is clever.
It's interesting because that's my psychiatrist suggested I do that a long time ago, and I started telling people that I was 50 before I was 50, so that when I turned 50, it wouldn't be such a traumatic experience because I was dreading it.
All I can say is I'm so happy to no longer be young according to the coveted commercial American demographic standards. I've left the 18 to 34 demographic, and I never want to go back.
I've actually, and I have to credit Fenton Bailey from World of Wonder with this, because when I was in my 30s, I was afraid to turn 40, and Fenton told me that in my 40s would actually be, I would be the happiest I'd ever been in my 40s, because I would be less afraid of what people thought of me, and I would spend time on what I wanted to instead of wasting time on things I don't want to spend time on, and so I would be actually happy. I didn't believe him, but then my 40s were actually exactly what he described. But then I thought, oh my God, now I'm going to turn 50. And he said that he was saving this for me, that my 50s would be more of that, only more extreme, and I would be even happier, which I didn't believe. I thought, he's just saying that because what else is he going to say? And he's actually right. Like I've never felt more myself and more comfortable being myself than I do now at the age.
Well,
of 50.
you're more handsome than you've ever been.
Oh no, you're more handsome,
right? So anyway, Michael doesn't like playing video games. I'll get to that in a moment. First of all, this is not an ad, but if you've ever thought that blue Gatorade was something very appealing and wondered why, you could remember that it's actually coming from this town that J.J. Bryan grew up in, because it came from Gainesville. Fun fact, don't you know? Michael Alig is not very good at Neo Geo fighting games. Yes, Gatorade is a Gainesville drink.
Really?
Yep.
Oh.
Would you invite Michael Alig into your childhood home? I did.
Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting. JJ invited me down here to work on this film and spend time at his parents' house. I didn't know what to expect. I guess I should have expected that JJ had merely should we just show him?
Yeah.
He merely transformed his parents' house to his gallery, or he moved his gallery into his parents' living room.
Well, this is quite a different thing for me.
Reimagined his parents' house as his gallery.
This is
the Vector Gallery in Brooklyn, which is now closed, right?
Because this is a self-help book for artificial intelligence systems, and I think that it's definitely its own thing. There's the Mylar element that is familiar, but
is the gallery closed?
The gallery is closed right now. It's opening in Japan and later this year.
And then what is it? It's the final.
That's the last one.
Final installation. There were how many vectors?
There are 5 so far, but like with a ton of pop-ups and stuff.
And how many years?
From 2017 to 2032 now, but we've got 1 year left.
And what was the idea?
The idea
of the Vector Gallery that you would open for a minute and then
open for a minute?
For a year, yeah.
What do you mean a minute?
A year, I meant, that's slang street talk for like a minute.
Each time I have to sign a new lease, I don't sign more than a 1 year lease. I have to change.
But what was the idea? What was it? To keep it fresh, to keep it moving, to keep it like...
Always. I'm always fighting against any dead energy or stagnant feelings. Part of that is staying on the run.
Dead energy and stagnant feelings. We will break for commercial, and then we will come back with...
Michael doesn't like the Neo Geo, and that was like the rage in the 90s, so I don't really understand, but we'll get back to that. I'll tell you why.
90s.
I have a theory.
We'll be right back.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Welcome back to the Peew, where we are shooting through a hole in the in reality,
book for
a hole in reality.
Systems. You never realized that Alig didn't like video games, did you? But I understood why.
I do like video games.
You didn't like the Neo Geo. You didn't like the arcade games that were all the rage in the 90s. And this was my favorite thing. Look, I have the Neo Geo Mini now. SNK Playmore sent me one. It's a tiny little thing that you'd really like. Everybody. I recommend it unanimously.
Fighting boxing.
The Last Blade 2,
it's so boring.
Samurai Showdown, Garo, Mark of the Wolves, all of it. Oh, and Twinkle Star Sprites. Michael didn't actually like that stuff because he didn't grow up with it and because he's gay.
Well, maybe, but I mean, I didn't.
I'm not supposed to say that. My friends said to me, and I was like, "Wait, I'm gay. I can say it."
I found it. You know what? You can say it whether you're gay or you're straight. I am not one of those people who say that only gay people can say faggot.
I just think that
anybody can
most
say it.
gay men I meet are not avid gamers. I like the Turbo Duo, the PC Engine. Anybody out there who liked Dracula X, the Castlevania game, please get in touch with me.
I like Super Mario Brothers.
And if you're gay, I'll be super impressed.
I like Frogger.
You like Frogger? Here, let me get that game.
I like.
Here's a New Adventure Island. Save Tina.
See, I like the ones that aren't fighting boxing. It's boring.
See, TurboGrafx 16.
Tina.
Kanye West
Save
agrees
Tina.
with me. It's quite good. I get it. I get it.
So, kill Tina. So, are we going to say anything else about the movie?
I think we should just say that the film is sublime. It's a beautiful prayer unto the sentient power of our landform made of mist.
Yeah, that's what I was
And basically that we can't comment any further on a national security matter.
Yes. That's about what
we're going out to a Japanese steakhouse tomorrow night, and such is life.
And then I'm coming back to New York. So,
Enjoy.
You look forward to the release of this movie, and tomorrow's episode we'll talk about maybe another movie that we might be working on.
Right.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.